Welcome, friend, to Life and Liberty Radio. I'm David Householder, here to encourage your pursuit of happiness. You and our partners exploring our shared spiritual journeys. Together, we're dreaming and working for a free society. Tell others today about our adventure in faith and freedom. So breathe in, open your mind, lift up your spirit. Let's get started. Habemus Papam was announced yesterday at the Vatican in Latin. Habemus Papam. We have a pope. The pope, the pontiff, they call him. Where does the word pontiff come from? Well, pontiff comes from the word Pontifex Maximus. And if you've ever been in Rome, there's two inscriptions you see on all of the ancient stuff in big Roman letters, which we still use, by the way. We copy their letters because they seem to work really, really well. We didn't copy the Arab ones, the Hebrew ones, any of the other ones. We took the Roman ones because they inscribe so well on stone. Pontifex Maximus, which literally means head bridge builder. Obviously, ancient Rome, built on the Tiber, when it was a town, the most important person was the person who kept the bridges running. And that person ended up running the town. And to this day, the main alpha male in Rome is called Pontifex Maximus, the head bridge builder. And this person really does carry a lot of that tradition of Rome, not just the church, but the government of the Roman Empire. As the Roman Empire collapsed in the 400s AD, the church arose, and it kept with it the Roman bureaucracy and its structure of overseers, archbishops, all those people. And what you had with the cardinals is basically the Senate of Rome gathering. The Senate is literally Senate, senatus, comes from the Latin term old, elders, and these are older people. Cardinal Tim, our friend Cardinal Tim from New York, is one of the youngest at 63. They're pretty old guys. And those guys carry the tradition together, SPQR, Senate and People of Rome. That's inscribed all over the place, along with Pontifex Maximus. So who is it? Well, it turns out it's a Roman, somebody who's an Italian, somebody with bloodlines to the ancient city, and that would be Jorge Maria Bergoglio. Jorge Maria Bergoglio. Well, that doesn't sound very Spanish. He's from Latin America. No, it's Italian. And he is an Italian from Argentina. There are lots and lots of Italians in Argentina. It's a place where there's a lot of Germans, actually, in South America also, and have been for quite some time. So, Habemus Papam Pontifex Maximus Jorge Maria Bergoglio. The Italian is now the Pope from Argentina, a New World Pope. The first Pope that I know of, I think the first Pope from the New World, the Western Hemisphere, which is the Christian hemisphere. The Eastern Hemisphere has a billion Muslims, a billion Hindus, and a billion people in East Asia who aren't Christians. And so this is pretty much from the Christian hemisphere, the southern part of which is mostly Roman Catholic with a large Pentecostal minority. So we've got a new Pope, and what's really interesting is that we've had an orderly transfer of power. And this is how you keep institutions going. You have a nonviolent transfer of power, and it's not charisma-based. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've got a big church like the Crystal Cathedral, you have to ask yourself the question, who's going to replace Robert Schuller? Well, they failed in that handoff, and the ball was fumbled, which often happens in charisma-based organizations. They didn't think through how to pass on what they had. In other words, you make a big investment and you let it sort of dwindle. It's important, I think, to pass things on. The two institutions on planet Earth that do that the best, of course, are the American presidency and the papacy. I would also submit that Jewish people, through their synagogue and bar mitzvah system, have done an outstanding job of handing on the heritage to the next generation. So those three groups have done an especially good job of doing that. The presidency always has a peaceful transfer of power, as does the papacy, and they do that through very clear methods of passing on the head job. So it's really a great example to watch in terms of that. So who is this guy, Jorge Maria Bergoglio? We're going to say more about that in our second installment. He is, technically, his real title is the Bishop of Rome. The Bishop of Rome. He actually doesn't have any more power than any other bishop, but by tradition, he is the first among equals. There's actually 5 ecumenical patriarchs, of which he is one, the patriarchs of Constantinople, Rome, Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem. And that's from ancient times. All 5 of those cities, the main 5 cities in Christianity for the first few centuries. Rome sort of ascended as one of the main ones, along with the Patriarch of Constantinople. And with the rise of Islam, pretty much in the 600s, taking over much of that area, Jerusalem, Antioch, and Alexandria came under Islamic rule, which left Constantinople and Rome. Constantinople housed in Hagia Sophia, Holy Wisdom Church, which is massive in Constantinople, and, of course, the Roman Church in the West. So those were the 2 sort of rival centers of power in Christianity. And in the East, of course, the empire survived as the Byzantine Empire, and in the West it fell. And we had the Middle Ages and all the Monty Python skits of people in the mud. So what held the West together was the Roman Catholic Church, which provided a nerve system throughout Western Europe when the political system failed. So it had some political stuff to it also. Actually, when Constantinople finally fell to the Muslims, then it became Istanbul eventually, which is hilarious because Istanbul is just Greek for into town, Istanpolis. And the Muslims asked, what's the name of the city as they were conquering it, and someone said, Istanpolis, into town? And they said, yes, that's the name of the town. So they actually misnamed the town. Constantinople, of course, is Constantine's city, which it really still is. So we've got these 2 cities that are rivals, and then with Constantinople falling to the Muslims, then Rome was left of the 5 to be the only left standing patriarchate with a lot of demographic strength, all of Western Europe, actually. So that's the deal with the Pope, and his biggest issue is going to be dealing with systemic problems, much like the United States government, which is also very, very successful long-term. Historically speaking, we've got a constitution that's lasted over 200 years, which is a miracle. The Roman Catholic Church, along with the United States, can be tempted to be overconfident, thinking, hey, we've made it this long, we're going to be just fine, we don't have to deal with our systemic problems. All we have to do is block and tackle better and clean up our corruption and get stricter with our problems. Well, the truth is that doesn't do it, because both the United States and also the Roman Catholic Church have what we call systemic problems. These are problems which are caused by the system itself, and they cannot be fixed by cracking down on things or being stricter. Of course, the systemic problem in the Roman Catholic Church is the sexual problem with the priests, which is very widespread, almost universal throughout the church worldwide. And it is caused by the systemic problem of telling 25-year-old priests that they will not have sex for the rest of their lives. Well, this is not going to work for a majority of men, and for almost all men, it's not going to work. There are men who can do that and do fine, and those are a small minority. You are really creating a perversion problem, and this is systemic, and you can't crack down on it by being stricter with the priests and expecting that to go away, because the system itself is causing the problem. If you have a house that's filling with mold, you can be super vigilant about cleaning it, but that's not the point. You have to ask yourself the question, what is creating the environment which promotes mold growth? And I have to ask the next pope, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about the systemic problem? You need to fix the problem, and this problem has been around for centuries. And anytime you tell thousands of 25-year-old men who are leading your church that you will abstain from sex for the rest of your life, like the Shakers, and we know what happened to the Shakers, there's no Shakers left, it's going to create more and more scandals. You can't crack down on a systemic problem. You have to fix the system itself. And my hope and prayer for you, Jorge, who call yourself now Francis, Pope Francis, please please deal with the systemic problems in the church so that we can enjoy the benefits of the church, the longevity of the church, the standing for the social issues, all of that good stuff, which we're going to talk about in our next segment. Well, that's all for today on Life and Liberty Radio. Thanks so much for sharing this part of your spiritual journey with me. Now, the views on this program are not necessarily those of my advertisers, sponsors, places I work or do business with. They're purely my own, but I'm sharing them with you, so share your ideas with me. Write me on Twitter at Liberty House, LIBERTYHOUS, no E. Until next time, let's continue dreaming and working for a free and spiritually grounded society.